Coming up, a former Nyosho teacher resigns after he says he was discriminated against for having a pride flag in the classroom. And we look at the local impact of a home COVID-19 test shortage. Also, a four-state health expert talks about what the upcoming flu season could have in store for us.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. A few showers last night brought with them cooler temps. Let's go straight to Michael Hayslip and check out the forecast.
Nice thing is they're going to stick around for a little bit too. Not
Good.
One of those just in and out ones. Don't have to worry about the 90s showing back up here for the next 48 hours. Current conditions as we hang over 7th and Range Line, 64 degrees, very, very comfortable. And even as Tanya talked about those overnight rains, humidity not too bad, only sitting at 78%. You can tell it is warmer down to the south. Andersonville still hanging on to 70, and Cassville at 71, and then up to the top we got Iola at 60 and Nevada at 61. So 10-degree difference as the wind has now completed its shift, moving in from the north after the rain moves off to the south, and it's only about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but is making a little bit of a difference. Clean Skywatch storm tracker, just a little precipitation hanging up there, all the cloud cover down to the south. We really have absolutely beautiful, beautiful skies this morning. That rain has now made its way all the way to the Red River. As far as what we're looking at on the severe thunderstorm risk map, we're going to be on the dry side and the mild side today because our temperatures are going to be in the mid-80s. Can't beat that. And you know what? Let's roll that again on Thursday. Now, Friday is when the changes begin because the heat is going to reemerge. Everything is going to shift and move in from the south-southwest, but cannot complain about Wednesday and Thursday.
Those are some great temperatures.
That's
We will take
good
those
right there.
for sure. I'm loving the low tonight. All right, thanks, Michael. The Joplin City Council meets to discuss a number of things, but there were a couple of key items on the agenda last night, and one of those was a resolution creating a commission for equity, diversity, and inclusion. 6 people spoke at the meeting, all in opposition to the resolution. The council was divided, with 3 members saying they do not believe this is the best option for the city. In the end, the council voted to table the resolution for the time being. The council also had an emergency ordinance to consider, a contract between the city and a cybersecurity firm based in Kansas City. In July, the city was the victim of a cyber attack. The city manager directed city staff to get bids from various companies to strengthen the city's cybersecurity position. Among the 11 bidders, Raveneye LLC of Kansas City had the winning bid. Raveneye would be responsible for co-managing network security for the city and upgrading current network security systems. The council approved the new contract on an emergency basis. Missouri Highway Patrol releases some statistics from the Labor Day weekend. Authorities say there were 351 vehicle accidents over the holiday weekend, with 103 injuries and 7 fatalities. When it comes to people on the water, there were 7 reported boating accidents with 4 injuries and 1 death. There were no reported drownings over the weekend. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Neosho school district after being asked to sign a letter promising not to talk about his sexuality. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has that story.
John Wallace was looking forward to his first year teaching at Nyosho Junior High School and wanted to make his classroom an inclusive space for all of his students. After asking school administration if he could display a pride flag and sign saying "In this classroom, all are welcome," he says he was advised not to.
But I ultimately decided to put the signs up above my whiteboard, and I had a small pride flag on my bookshelf.
When parents found out, they complained to the school superintendent, and Wallace was advised to sign a letter stating he would take down the pride flag and the sign in the classroom.
I was asked to sign a letter that said I would not talk about human sexuality or my sexual preference in the classroom. It was a representation that my classroom is a safe place for students.
That was the last straw. He turned in his resignation the following morning.
For this to happen was already upsetting enough because I have seen how this community responds to things like that. But I thought we had been able to move past this.
The news was hard for many. One of Wallace's students was a member of the LGBTQ community. Her mother says she was excited to finally have someone to relate to.
She's devastated. She doesn't feel like she has anybody that she can go to. It made her more comfortable, I guess, to be herself, especially in the classroom.
After Wallace posted the news on Facebook, the support poured in from students, parents, and others.
Teacher, and I feel really bad that he was treated that way because he was always welcoming and he would do anything for anybody, even if it was a million steps out of his way.
And it would have meant the world to me to have a teacher in this district who was open, who was out, and who could show students that I'm not some scary, unnatural person that you've been taught to be scared of. I am me. I am normal. I just happen to love differently.
Nyosho, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
We reached out to the Neosho Superintendent's office and received a statement saying there is a limited amount of information that the school district is allowed to release, but that Wallace did submit his resignation September 1st. At-home testing kits for COVID-19 could be harder to find on store shelves. The kits had been fairly widely available since the spring, but now with the Delta variant surge, stores are selling out. In an article by the Wall Street Journal, Abbott Laboratories, the maker of the popular Binex Now testing kit, says they expect supply to be slim over the next few weeks. Here in the 4 states, availability of a testing kit varies from place to place. Stone's Corner Pharmacy has been carrying them for a few months, but they do not currently have any in stock.
People right now, they want quick results. They want to be able to have some peace of mind faster, or they want to be able to certify to whoever's asking for proof faster. And so having those quick tests, I think, is a good thing to have on the market, and I hope that those things are back available readily very soon.
Coming up in our next half hour, we hear from a local healthcare professional on what you should keep in mind if you can find one to buy. It's 5:07.
After a night of thunderstorm activity that even brought us some hail reports, our weather trend for today has plenty of sunshine and highs in the mid-80s. An absolute perfect beginning to September here. I guess we're first still in the early 3rd of September. I'll go ahead and call it early September. Clear skies as well overnight. Temperatures really back-to-back 80s with no worries about any rain coming back and getting us. Then we'll talk about the heat wave by the time we get into Friday because we've got a little bit of a scorcher of the weekend on our hands.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a Southeast Kansas resident is $250,000 richer. Find out where the winning ticket was purchased. Plus, Joplin and Webb City face off on the softball diamond. We'll have highlights in sports. And health officials worry about another spike in coronavirus cases after the Labor Day weekend. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Webb City Cardinals 5-2 to begin the softball season. Cards opening up COC play last night with a home game against the Joplin Eagles. And Joplin off to a good start as well, 7-4 in their first 11 games. Tied at 2 in the 4th, Dawson Decker. Nice little squeeze bunt right there. That scores Kaylin Gilbert, starts a huge inning for Webb City because moments later, bases are loaded for Peyton Hawkins. Yanks this one. That's a ground rule double is what it ends up being. 5-2 Webb City. More runs for the Cards in the 4th. Hannah Wells, bases loaded again. Wells into the gap in right center. She gonna clear them. All 3 runners score to make it 8-2. Webb City bats back around to Kaylin Gilbert. RBI double for Gilbert. Cardinals get 8 runs in the 4th and roll in the conference opener. Final score 12-2.
Wasn't where we wanted to be. 4th inning, we finally got into it and just hit the lineup like we know how to do.
You know, that's really big to start out the conference play with a win, especially with a dominating win, and you know that's what we want to do every game. And you know, just it was a good feeling to come out strong.
A couple other COC conference openers last night. Carl Junction, the Bulldogs opening up against Carthage, and Carthage wins in a shutout, 10-0. Jensen Elder, complete game. She struck out 11. Nyosho Wildcats have to go on the road Tuesday in that conference opener facing Republic, and Nyosho wins a good one, 2-1, as the Wildcats beat the Tigers. McKaylee Forrest, 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Nyosho back in action on Thursday, going to be on the road again against Willard. Diamond Wildcats are off to a hot start this football season. Diamond already 2-0 to start the year with wins against Ash Grove and Pierce City. In fact, it's the first time since 2016 that Diamond has started the season with 2 straight wins. Going to try to make it 3 in a row this Friday against Lighthouse Christian. The Diamond defense has been dominant. Run game, it's been huge. They've rushed for 480 yards in 2 games, led by quarterback Hunter Schallenberger and running back Landon Clement.
I mean, we're running behind trucks. I mean, it's insane. You know, we're going to run it down your throat. We're going to hit you in the face mask. You're gonna, you know, if you don't like it, we're going to do it again.
Our line's a big help with that factor, just getting off the ball, pushing them back. I mean, those 5-6 yard carries are a big play. I mean, it might not look big, but it adds up quick.
I tease them. I call them thunder and lightning, and you can kind of guess who's who just by looking at them. So, you know, Landon does a great job with our inside zone runs. You know, he's hard to bring down, and so, you know, he gives us that, you know, that inside run game where, you know, Hunter, every time he gets it, you know, he's looking to go the distance. So I feel like they work well with each other. It's a good balance for us.
Is it me, or does Landon Clement have a little bit of Marshawn Lynch in him? I wanted him to say over and over and over and over again. Pittsburgh State Gorillas are back in the national rankings. Pitt State number 23 in this week's Division II poll. Last Thursday, they went on the road and beat previously 13th ranked Central Missouri in the season opener. Well, with the new rankings, Pitt State comes in at 23. Central drops out of the top 25. This Saturday is Pitt State's home opener. Get Nebraska Kearney, go kick that thing off at 7 p.m. Northwest Missouri State, the only other team in the MIAA to make the top 25 this week. The Bearcats clock in at number 4. Pitt State's next opponent, Nebraska Kearney, didn't miss out by much, however, received the 3rd most votes in the MIAA. Central Missouri, Fort Hays State, and Washburn also in the other receiving votes in this week's poll. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, a chunk of Elvis Presley's hair going on sale, and here's the kicker, going on sale again. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Roll a little weather on the 7s at 5:17. Check out our daily almanac for September the 8th, where our average high would be 85 degrees. And while that seems relatively mild for what we've kind of began the month with, we're going to get spoiled here and be right there, if not a little bit below, for today and tomorrow. Record high dating back to 1955 of 98 degrees. There we are over 7th and Rangeline, where it sits at a very comfortable 64. Love the fact the barometer is on the rise. That bottom column there with the pressure indicating 29.97 millibars. That means a whole bunch of clear skies. You can tell where the dividing line is. There's the cold front is now upon us. Just hasn't penetrated all the way through, because we still have 70s in Anderson and Cassville compared to 60 in Iola and 61 right now in Nevada. So slowly but surely our temperatures down to the south are actually going to drop even as we approach sunrise. As the wind shifted, as the rains rolled through, and we're now coming in from the north. Now later on this afternoon, we are going to pick up some northerly gusts of close to 20 miles per hour. Still do have the flood warning in effect, and make sure that time is right. Yeah, that's been extended all the way to Friday morning. That's for the Little Osage. It is beginning to fall, but it's just not falling at a very good clip. Here's where we stand right now. Like I said, the sky is clear as can be, but overnight we did have multiple reports of hail, whether it be in Crawford County or out in Mongo Co right there. Look at that, an inch in diameter coming out of Girard. And then in Cherokee, we had a report of half-inch hail. And then in Montgomery County, another report of inch-size diameter hail. Luckily, everything right now is down by the Red River and kind of going to leave us alone for the rest of the day. And all this thunderstorm activity, the majority of it's going to stay east of the Mississippi, range up into the northeastern portion of the U.S. The cold front is really the big thing to talk about right now. Like I said, it is moving down from northwest to southeast. It'll slowly creep into the natural state all the way through us into portions of Arkansas. Let's take a quick look at Larry. Still a Category 3, some 1,400 miles off the Florida coast, and we're sticking with that expected track right there. We haven't seen a whole lot of variation, so that's kind of comforting. We know it's going to kind of sit out there in the Atlantic. Highs today in the low to mid 80s. Can't beat it. Whole lot of sunshine overnight, dropping back down. We'll see some 50s, and then we actually get back-to-back days of very mild and dry weather, with all the clouds just kind of staying down to the south as the front moves, completes its move all the way through. Now, with that being said, well, Friday's going to be a little change of pace because we're going to be back into the 90s. Then check out Saturday and Sunday. Hello, return of the mid-90s. Coming off of 2 days, we're in the mid-80s. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. A Kansas resident, $250,000 richer. Individuals remaining anonymous collected a cool $250,000. That's the top prize on the Kansas Lottery's $30 multiplier super ticket game. And the ticket sold at Peach 24 on North Santa Fe Street in Chanute. Unnamed winner first thought it was 25 grand. Then realized it was 10 times as much. Our question to you this morning, what's the first thing you would do if you won the lottery? We got everything from put it in the bank to splurge on something to quit your job or pay off debt. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with Healthwatch next.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, flu season is approaching. And as COVID-19 cases increase in the region, experts worry about a flu season compounded with the COVID pandemic. Mercy's infectious disease preventionist Donna Stokes recommends people get vaccinated against the flu and says it is safe to get a flu shot with the COVID-19 vaccine.
Right now, CDC is saying that you can take COVID vaccine and influenza vaccine at the same time. We're obviously going to do one injection in one arm and one in the other. So if there is a reaction or a local reaction, we know what they're reacting to.
Flu numbers dropped last year. Some experts believe that was due to an increase in masking. The Jasper County Health Department reports 6 more COVID-19 deaths. The patients were 3 men in their 50s, 60s, and 80s, and 3 women in their 30s, 40s, and 60s. The latest deaths bring the county's total to 202. Jasper County reports COVID-19 deaths separately from the city of Joplin, which is currently reporting 164 deaths. COVID-19 cases continue to climb across the U.S., significantly higher than after Labor Day last year. The surge comes as many students are returning to the classroom. Meanwhile, the FDA is set to meet in 10 days to discuss COVID-19 boosters. Mandy Gaither has the latest.
In the war against COVID-19, it's another grim milestone. More than 40 million cases in the U.S. since the pandemic began. Over 4 million of those in the last month.
We got here in part because we have the Delta variant.
COVID-19 cases are more than 300 times higher than Labor Day of last year, according to data from Johns Hopkins University, leading to overcrowded hospitals and a rise in infections in children, especially concerning as many students are returning to their classrooms.
We've got to get the school system masked, in addition to surrounding the children with vaccinated people.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says getting more shots in arms is key to slowing the spread of COVID-19, and booster shots for those who received either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines will offer further protection.
I believe strongly that ultimately we are going to see that as the proper regimen, 3 doses of an mRNA.
For those who got 2 doses of Pfizer, the target start date for boosters is September 20th, pending FDA and CDC recommendations. Fauci says Moderna boosters may be a little later. It's still unclear whether different types of vaccines can be mixed. Researchers are studying that now.
If you are a vaccinated person, you're generally healthy, then it's okay at this point to wait to see what the FDA and CDC are saying.
Top health experts agree the most important thing now, getting those who are unvaccinated to roll up their sleeves. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Fauci says he hopes data on whether the 2 mRNA vaccines can be mixed will be back in a reasonable period of time. He hopes in a couple of weeks. When it comes to keeping free and clear of viruses and germs, start the countdown clock when you wash your hands. Various studies show people who are short on time spend about an average of 5 to 6 seconds washing their hands. 5% of people spend 15 seconds or more on washing, rubbing, and rinsing. Dr. Phil Hammond with the American Institute of Physics now has a physics model estimating timescales on which particles like virus and bacteria are removed from hands, and ultimately says 20 seconds of washing is needed. The study was published in the Physics of Fluids. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Morning temperatures about here, there, and everywhere. We got a 10-degree difference from the north to the south. Look at Iola dropping down to 59 right now. Compare that to Cassville, still hanging in at 70. So the cold front will continue to move from north to south this morning. Pre-sunrise, we will see a little bit of a drop. Eventually, into the 80s this afternoon. Very mild temperatures, a whole lot of sunshine, clear skies, all that rain from last night that we experienced. It is a thing of the past, and the 90s await us for the weekend.
Nothing can be more frightening than to be unsure of where you're going to lay your head at night. KARA stands for Kansas Emergency Rental Assistance.
Good morning, I'm Tanya Bach with your KOAM News Update. The Joplin City Council votes in favor of an emergency ordinance for a contract between the city and a cybersecurity firm based in Kansas City. In July, the city of Joplin was the victim of a cyber attack. The city manager directed city staff to get bids from various companies to strengthen the city's cybersecurity position. Among the 11 bidders, RavenEye LLC of Kansas City had the winning bid. RavenEye will be responsible for co-managing network security for the city and upgrading current network security systems. The Webb City Farmers Market has new leadership. Eileen Nichols, the market manager and founder, resigned back in February. And now Rachel Lynch has taken over and hopes to continue making the market a popular place. We wish her the best. Here's Michael with today's forecast.
We have mild temperatures today, anywhere from a 10-degree difference early in the morning that'll eventually kind of stabilize out, and everybody's going to be into the mid-80s. Do know that there's going to be a good north breeze coming in, and we'll have some gusts of 20 to 25 miles per hour. But that's what keeps us nice, I don't want to say cool, but definitely a big difference from what we've had last week. But look at the 90s coming at us for the weekend. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
Coming up, a former Neosho teacher resigns after he says he was discriminated against for having a pride flag in the classroom. And we look at the local impact of an at-home COVID-19 test shortage. Also, a four-state health expert talks about what the upcoming flu season could have in store for us.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Our cooler temps have finally arrived. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast.
Even after sunrise at 6:55, Tanya, I think we're going to continue to see our temperatures drop a little bit because the cold front actually hasn't moved all the way through. It's encompassed about 3/4 of the four states right now, and we're already seeing cities up to the north have about a 1 to 2 degree drop here just in the past half an hour alone. A comfortable 64 degrees over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. We're done with that thunderstorm activity overnight. I know it wasn't widespread, but we even got some reports of hail in both Crawford County and Montgomery County, Kansas. Here's where we stand with our temperatures. Big gap. Look up to the north where Iola's dropped down to 59 degrees, and we're still holding on to high 60s, if not 70s, in the southern portion of southwest Missouri. But slowly but surely, I've been watching Nyosho, Monette, and Miami right there. They've actually dropped a couple degrees in, say, past 30, 40 minutes. Wind tracker has everything moving in from the north. Not too bad right now. Will pick up, be a little bit blustery this afternoon. Skywatch storm tracker remaining clear. That's a little residual left over in that green heavy cloud cover moving down to the south. And all that thunderstorm activity now all the way down by the Red River. Thing of the past for us. You can tell where the color contour dividing line is for that cold front, so eventually it'll creep into Arkansas and Oklahoma. We're just kind of in the middle of it right now, and even with all the sunshine and blue skies today, mid-80s. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous outside, and no shot for rain. We're going to stay on the dry side here and get to enjoy some fresh air and very, very nice temperatures for both Wednesday and Thursday, because the heat won't reemerge until Friday. Now, when it does, we're going to run those string of 90s again through next week.
All right, well, It's going to have a few
It's
hot
gonna pop
temp
back
days
up
in there,
and
but
get us.
why does Saturday have to be hot? That's our day to do stuff outside.
Yeah, Saturday does want to be the hot. That's been pretty consistent too. That number's been sticking right there, that Saturday being hottest day of the weekend.
Yeah, all right. Get your stuff done now. All right, thanks, Michael. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Neosho school district after being asked to sign a letter promising to not talk about his sexuality. John Wallace, a teacher at Nyosho Junior High, started the school year with 2 items above his whiteboard, a pride flag and a sign reading, "In this classroom, everyone is welcome." After receiving complaints from parents, he says he was instructed to take both items out of his classroom or face being fired.
It was on the bookshelf as a representation for the students who may be closeted, they're not out, or maybe they are out, but they don't know where to go for support. And that was what my classroom was. It was a support system for those students specifically, as well as all students, because that's what the message was above my whiteboard.
We reached out to the Neosho superintendent's office and received a statement saying that due to this being a personnel matter, there is a limited amount of information that the school district is allowed to release, but that Wallace submitted his resignation September 1st. Flu season is approaching, and as COVID-19 cases increase in the region, experts worry about a flu season compounded with the COVID pandemic. Mercy's infectious disease preventionist Donna Stokes recommends people get vaccinated against the flu and says it is safe to get the flu shot with the COVID-19 vaccine.
Continue to be vigilant. I'm still an advocate of vaccine, not only influenza vaccine, but the COVID vaccine. The distancing, the masking, especially when you're with individuals, maybe not from your household.
Flu numbers dropped last year. Some experts believe that was due to an increase in masking. At-home testing kits for COVID-19 could be scarce on local shelves. Rapid testing kits that can be used to detect COVID at home have been on store shelves for a few months now. But some stores are sold out, and a local pharmacy says it cannot get any more. KOAM's Zach Dodge has details.
Usually, if you go to Stone's Corner Pharmacy, this sign would be accurate.
We have had them up until last week even, but right now they doesn't appear to be available.
COVID-19 at-home testing kits have been on store shelves for a few months now, but right now Isaacs is having a hard time getting more.
Even searched online for some different places that we wouldn't typically use.
In an article by the Wall Street Journal, Abbott Laboratories, the maker of the popular Benex Now testing kit, says they expect supply to be slim over the next few months as they ramp up production. Supply elsewhere in the 4 states depends on where you call.
I was wondering if you guys had any of the COVID at-home testing kits available?
Yes, we do. I think we are out.
I think it shows that people are interested in knowing, whether they're positive or not, which is obviously a good thing.
Van Cam would like people to keep a few things in mind, though, if they're going to use an at-home antigen test. The first being follow up with a doctor if a test comes back positive.
They may want to get treatment or may need to get treatment. And so I think that's, something that's extremely important for them to think about.
As well as follow up with the health department so you can get a PCR test.
They really want to get another test to be able to show whether they're positive or not. Because if they can go into the system, they can say that they've had it and, their places of employment can treat them as if they're fully vaccinated.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Van Cam reminds residents that in Kansas, tests through a health provider are still free. And Access Family Care does offer rapid COVID tests as well. The Webb City Farmers Market has new leadership. Eileen Nichols, the market manager and founder, resigned back in February. And now Rachel Lynch has taken over and hopes to continue making the market a popular place.
After 20 dedicated years, we're excited to see her get to spend more time with her family and get to dedicate her time to, to her family's next generation. She gets to be with her grandkids a lot right now.
Lynch says she would like to eventually expand the market further as more vendors express interest. Missouri Southern is seeking entries for its homecoming parade. This year, it's a celebration of music, school spirit, and community pride, dubbed Decades of Southern Spirit. They're looking for local high school bands, big and small, as well as student organizations and athletic teams. Entrants will be eligible to win cash prizes. All floats must be decorated in a way that supports the theme, Decades of Southern Spirit. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. A piece, or rather a hunk, of rock and roll memorabilia sold to the highest bidder. Plus, a potential first line of defense from future cyber attacks against the city of Joplin. We'll have the latest there. But first, it's 5:37.
Watching our temperatures drop a degree or two here pre-sunrise at 6:55. Down to 64 in Joplin and 59 in Iola. Still clinging to a 70 there in Cassville. By the time we get to the afternoon, everybody will kind of stabilize, but the cold front helps us out. Even with all the sunshine, just the mid-80s, not too bad at all. We'll be back with World Watch next.
Topping World Watch, questions continue to grow in connection with the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. During his visit to Qatar yesterday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken revealed roughly 100 Americans are still stuck in the country. This as lawmakers are demanding more information about the Afghan refugees who have arrived in the U.S. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the latest.
As the U.S. works to evacuate Americans still in Afghanistan, it's relying on the Taliban to make sure they can get out.
They've said that they will let people with travel documents freely depart. We will hold them to that.
We will allow anyone to travel who has passport, visa, and a flight ticket.
Still, some people have doubts, even as the U.S. denies reports that Taliban fighters blocked Americans from leaving Mazar-e-Sharif airport in order to make demands.
So I have real concerns and questions about the Taliban supporting us and doing anything. They're going to do what they want to do.
The Taliban now has an interim government, announcing several positions in acting capacity Tuesday. However, the White House says there's no rush to recognition.
The world will be watching, the United States included, and they will be watching whether they allow for American citizens and citizens of other countries to depart.
Meanwhile, one lawmaker is voicing concerns about the refugee vetting process.
We don't know what they did in Afghanistan. What were they doing in Afghanistan, these individuals?
On his visit to Qatar Tuesday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says they're doing accountings on the back end as people arrive to the U.S. President Biden says he'll plan to meet with some of the refugees, but did not specify when.
They're all over the country, and I'll be sure I'll be seeing some of them.
Secretary Blinken is scheduled to testify before a House committee on Monday as lawmakers investigate the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
5 of the men accused of helping the 9/11 hijackers are in military court today in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Hearing comes just days before the 20th anniversary of the terror attacks that killed almost 3,000 Americans. Despite the case lingering for more than a decade now, there's still no trial date on the calendar. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our something to talk about.
On the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, there's a 4-state Kansas resident, $250,000 richer. That's right, individual wishing to remain anonymous now, collected a cool $250,000. That's the top prize on the Kansas Lottery's $30 multiple super ticket game. Winning ticket sold at Pete's 24. Gotten gas there a number of times. That's on North Santa Fe Street in Chanute. Now, the unnamed winner, here's the best part of the story. I don't know how this part came out, since it, anonymous and everything. But the unnamed winner thought that he or she had won 25 grand. Nobody's going to scoff at that. Well, then they realized it was 10 times as much. As far as we know, did not tell anyone about the ticket before driving to Topeka and claiming that prize. Our question to you, whether it be 25,000 or 250,000, our question is, what's the first thing you would do if you won the lottery? Right now, 62% of you say, I'm just going to be ultimately practical. I'm going to pay off all my debt. 22% say after you get back from Topeka, your next stop is the bank. 15%, I splurge on something. And everybody's going back to work, evidently. We'll be back with the news you need to know. Oh, take part. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, or you can get there via Facebook as well. Now we'll come back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Joplin City Council votes in favor of an emergency ordinance for a contract between the city and a cybersecurity firm based in Kansas City. In July, the city of Joplin was the victim of a cyber attack. The city manager directed city staff to get bids from various companies to strengthen the city's cybersecurity position. Among the 11 bidders, RavenEye LLC of Kansas City had the winning bid. RavenEye will be responsible for co-managing network security for the city and upgrading current network security systems. Missouri Highway Patrol releases some statistics from the Labor Day weekend. Authorities say there were 351 vehicle accidents over the holiday weekend, with 103 injuries and 7 fatalities. When it comes to people on the water, there were 7 reported boating accidents, with 4 injuries and 1 death. There were no reported drownings over the weekend. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Nyosho school district after being asked to sign a letter promising to not talk about his sexuality. John Wallace, a teacher at Nyosho Junior High, started the school year with 2 items above his whiteboard, a pride flag and a sign reading, "In this classroom, everyone is welcome." After receiving complaints from the parents, he says he was instructed to take both items out of his classroom or face being fired. Well, Joplin's Arvest Bank is honoring teachers through its We Love Teachers campaign, and it is looking for nominees. The campaign awards 154 teachers with $500 gifts. It's a total of $77,000 in prize money. That money is spent on classroom needs for public school teachers. To nominate a teacher, just go to the Arvest Bank Facebook page and look for the We Love Teachers post between September 13th and 19th. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Still watching these temperatures drop just little by little, but now we've got 259 sitting up in Iowa and Fort Scott, Nevada and Pittsburgh right behind it at 60. So as the front follows the wind arrows and moves from north to south right there, we are going to see, we'll see a couple more 50s on the board here before the morning's over. It's still delightful outside though. And then look south of I-44 where we're still hanging on to high 60s, if not 70s still in Cassville. Now, speaking of those wind arrows, it is going to pick up this afternoon. We'll have some 20-mile-an-hour northerly gusts after we get past sunrise at 6:55, get our temperatures stabilized a little bit, a whole lot of sunshine. We'll go mid-80s for the most part, and then overnight, we'll see the reemergence of low 60s and some high 50s as well. Going to stay clean on the Skywatch storm tracker and future track because high pressure system made its way along with that cold front, and really no complaints here on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday will change our tune a little bit because the 90s are going to be back on us. As a matter of fact, looking at a hot weekend and then carry those 90s into next week as well.
Well, it's one thing to keep a lock of someone's hair, but when it's from Elvis Presley, collectors get all shook up over a giant hairball the size of a baseball. Now, this hairball was originally gathered by Elvis's barber, and as Jeannie Moose reports, the clump just sold at auction for more than $72,000.
This isn't some hairball the cat coughed up. Oh no. This is a hunk of Elvis's hair, a baseball-sized hunk collected not during his most famous haircut.
He lost his hair to the Army.
But said to be gathered by his barber of more than 2 decades, kept in a plastic bag, transferred to a sealed jar, and now sold for $72,500 by Cruz GWS Auctions, with documentation like all of the plane tickets Elvis got for his barber to take him along to performances. The King's Electric Chic Shaver also sold for $3,000.
But it's one for the money.
The big money, just over $1 million, was paid for the so-called eyelet jumpsuit and cape Elvis wore to perform at Madison Square Garden. Elvis's hairball has actually lost value. It sold for over $115,000 the last time it was auctioned off almost 20 years ago. Back then there was talk that the DNA in the hair could be used as the basis for a dauntingly complex attempt to clone the legend. But 2 decades later, Elvis is still not in the house. I've covered the bidding for smaller clumps of his hair.
So what's it like to run your hands through Elvis's hair?
It's very exciting, Jeannie. Really exciting.
She described it as coarse, not soft. Whoever bought this latest hairball, you better, as Elvis would say, treat me nice.
Scratch my back and run the old pretty fingers through my hair.
Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
Now, has your stylist been saving your hair, Michael?
Say what?
Just for the same reason? Has your stylist been saving your hair?
Mary takes care of me. She can do with it what she wants. Actually, I help Mary clean up after she gives me a haircut, and then so I sweep it up and I put it in the trash.
She's saved them over the years, so she has the 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, she does. It's a good point. Mary, you know I love you. All right, you can always jump on Instagram. That's right, we're on the gram now. KOAM News Now. Got your morning forecast. Also, too, Nick and Doug and everybody else back in the Skywatch Weather Center. We're starting to fill that page up. It's starting to look really good right there. Once again, that's KOAM News Now on Instagram. Then you can flip on over, Michael Hayslip, KOAM on Facebook.
You know that was good.
Forecast that will also be available in the Skywatch weather app that is downloadable and free for all your mobile devices. Try to keep that thing to about 35, 45 seconds. Just get you going as you head out the door. And then if you're up to it, you can flip on over to the, you should be up to it. Flip on over to the KOAM News Now Facebook page as well, because that's where we do our morning Insta poll and our something to talk about as we find out that there's a person in Chanute, Kansas, remaining anonymous for the time being, that thought they'd won a $25,000 lottery ticket. They had not. Lottery ticket was worth $250,000. Asking you what's the first thing you would do if you won the lottery. Right now, 61% of you say, I'm going to pay down all that debt. You can take part each and every morning. Let us know what you would do. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back. Let's update these temperatures right after this. Couple 59s now on the board. Temperatures just dropping a little bit as the cold front continues to make its way completely through the 4 states. And after it does, we stabilize in the mid-80s today. It's going to be a delightful afternoon with a little bit of a north breeze. Be back right after this.
Coming up, a former Nyosho teacher resigns after he says he was discriminated against for having a pride flag in the classroom. And we look at the local impact of an at-home COVID-19 test shortage. Also, a 4-state health expert talks about what the upcoming flu season could have in store for us.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We had a few showers last night and now we're getting cooler temps. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast.
Tell you what, rain wasn't widespread, but when it came down all right. Lightning and even hail in Crawford County and Montgomery County in southeast Kansas. Now, the rain is a thing of the past, and it has brought us a cold front that's going to make it absolutely delightful today, even a skosh below our average temps for our September 8th daily almanac, where it would be 85 degrees. Live look over 7th and Rangeline, where we went film noir, evidently, and we'll get the, you're not missing anything. Sunrise in until 6:55. 62 right now in Joplin, so we've seen a 2 to 3 degree drop, and now look up to the north as Nevada has joined the 59 club along with Fort Scott and Iola. You can tell the cold front hasn't pushed all the way through yet because we're still sitting high 60s south of I-44. Well, earlier we even had some 70s and 71, so we're going to see everybody drop about 2, 3, maybe even 4 degrees here before sunrise as the wind has shifted coming in from the north. Not too bad right now, but going to pick up this afternoon. We'll get some 20-mile-an-hour northerly gusts. Clean Skywatch storm tracker, all the cloud cover, thunderstorm activity. It's a thing of the past all the way down to the south, and that gives you an idea exactly where that dividing line is for the cold front. So we'll find ourselves just on the southeast portion of it. Our weather trend for the day, how about around 83 degrees? Whole lot of sunshine too. Big high pressure system sitting over us. Look, just pushes everything down to the south. We're going to stay on the dry side and no immediate heat up. I mean, yeah, eventually it'll come, but really tomorrow is going to be wonderful as well, high around 86. Friday, we're back at it, and we're going to carry the 90s into the weekend.
We're going to have a hot weekend, but before we get there, can't complain about that.
Look at the difference in the overnight lows by the time we get to the weekend. We're talking about 74 for overnight lows.
Yeah.
Wee.
Yeah. I say we open the windows up and enjoy it.
Oh, certainly did last night. It was great.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, the Joplin City Council meets to discuss a number of things, but there were a couple of key items on the agenda last night. And one of those was a resolution creating a commission for equity, diversity, and inclusion. 6 people spoke at the meeting, all in opposition to the resolution. Council was divided, with 3 members saying they do not believe this is the best option for the city. In the end, the council voted to table the resolution for the time being. The council also had an emergency ordinance to consider, a contract between the city and a cybersecurity firm based in Kansas City. In July, the city was the victim of a cyber attack. The city manager directed city staff to get bids from various companies to strengthen the city's cybersecurity position. Among the 11 bidders, Raveneye LLC of Kansas City had the winning bid. Raveneye would be responsible for co-managing network security for the city and upgrading current network security systems. The council approved the new contract on an emergency basis. Missouri Highway Patrol releases some statistics from the Labor Day weekend. Authorities say there were 351 vehicle accidents over the holiday weekend, with 103 injuries and 7 fatalities. When it comes to people on the water, there were 7 reported boating accidents with 4 injuries and 1 death. There were no reported drownings over the weekend. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Neosho school district after being asked to sign a letter promising to not talk about his sexuality. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has that story.
John Wallace was looking forward to his first year teaching at Nyosho Junior High School and wanted to make his classroom an inclusive space for all of his students. After asking school administration if he could display a pride flag and sign saying, "In this classroom, all are welcome," he says he was advised not to.
But I ultimately decided to put the signs up above my whiteboard, and I had a small pride flag on my bookshelf.
When parents found out, they complained to the school superintendent, and Wallace was advised to sign a letter stating he would take down the pride flag and the sign in the classroom.
I was asked to sign a letter that said I would not talk about human sexuality or my sexual preference in the classroom. It was a representation that my classroom is a safe place for students.
That was the last straw. He turned in his resignation the following morning.
For this to happen was already upsetting enough because I have seen how this community responds to things like that. But I thought we had been able to move past this.
The news was hard for many. One of Wallace's students was a member of the LGBTQ community. Her mother says she was excited to finally have someone to relate to.
She's devastated. She doesn't feel like she has anybody that she can go to. It made her more comfortable, I guess, to be herself, especially in the classroom.
After Wallace posted the news on Facebook, the support poured in from students, parents, and others.
Teacher, and I feel really bad that he was treated that way because he was always welcoming and he would do anything for anybody, even if it was a million steps out of his way.
And it would have meant the world to me to have a teacher in this district who was open, who was out, and who could show students that I'm not some scary, unnatural person that you've been taught to be scared of. I am me. I am normal. I just happen to love differently.
Nyosho, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
We reached out to the Neosho superintendent's office and received a statement in return saying there is a limited amount of information that the school district is allowed to release, but that Wallace did submit his resignation September 1st. At-home testing kits for COVID-19 could get harder to find on store shelves. In an article by the Wall Street Journal, Abbott Laboratories, the maker of the popular Binax Now testing kit, says they expect supply to be slim over the next few weeks as they ramp up production. Stone's Corner Pharmacy has been carrying the kits for a few months, but they do not currently have any in stock and cannot order more.
People right now, they want quick results. They want to be able to have some peace of mind faster, or they want to be able to certify to whoever's asking for proof faster. And so having those quick tests, I think, is a good thing to have on the market, and I hope that those things are back available readily very soon.
Crawford County Health Department Director says if you do plan to take an at-home test and can find one, it's important that you follow up with a healthcare provider or your local health department, especially if you get a positive test result. 6:07.
Watching the temperatures drop little by little. Let's jump back up here, see if we have any other additional 59s. I was waiting for everything to kind of reload. Nah, just Iola, Fort Scott, and Nevada. However, when we started the show, nobody was at 59. So cold front slowly moving through, and it's not, it's not a massive drop. Don't want anybody to think that we're reverting back to winter nor anything like that. It's very comfortable outside. Eventually, the sunshine lifts us up into the 80s. Little north breeze, though, today. We'll have some 20-mile-per-hour gusts in a 7-day forecast with back-to-back days. Middle of the week, wonderful temperatures. Just ignore the heat wave coming for the weekend, and let's enjoy Wednesday and Thursday. Let's be prisoners of the weather moment. How about that?
I like that. Prisoners of the weather moment.
That's right. Recency bias.
All right.
The most important thing is what's happening right now on the 7-day forecast.
Yes, don't
live
look
in the
ahead
moment.
to the weekend.
You only live once.
All right. Can I move on?
Enjoy the Wednesday. Yeah, I'm honestly out of saying. I'm out of cliches.
Okay, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a rescue app.
Needing emergency help can be terrifying. I'm Dina Demetrius, and I'll show you the latest technology helping rescuers pinpoint your location in seconds.
Plus, a Texas restaurant is using technology in the form of robots to make up for a staffing shortage. And if you're bored at home, maybe we can help. We've got a list of new releases coming your way. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, Bitcoin is taking one country's currency into the digital age. On Tuesday, El Salvador officially began accepting the cryptocurrency as legal tender. Businesses will be required to accept it, and residents can use it to pay taxes. The Central American nation bought nearly $21 million in Bitcoin ahead of the rollout and set up a network of ATMs for consumers' use. Well, it can be terrifying, calling 911 in an emergency, especially when you don't have an address to give. But new technology now pinpoints emergency calls in seconds using an app or a text straight to your cell phone. Dina Demetrius reports.
The Los Angeles Fire Department gets about 1,000 calls a day for help, from hoisting hikers to safety to battling wildfires. Last April, a pair of Los Angeles hikers ventured off a trail and got lost. A new technology called What 3 Words led rescuers to their exact location.
You're going to get a text message and click on that link and then let me know what words it says.
Heavy send career.
Okay, so heavy send career.
Within seconds, LA Fire pinpointed the remote site.
We've got a rescue on the ground. He's made contact.
The new technology divides the entire globe into 57 trillion 10 by 10 foot squares, each with its own unique set of 3 random words as its address.
Right now, we can see the dot on the map, but without What 3 Words, we can't describe it in English. We have to use very long a series of numbers or letters in order to do that. But if you just have to enter 3 English words, it's like entering an address. So we were able to really speed up the call processing time.
Nationwide, the average emergency response time is about 10 minutes, rising to 14 minutes in rural areas. Now help comes sooner.
The ones that it really helps get there a lot quicker is our helicopters, our air assets. They're able to input it into their system, and they're able to fly directly to that location and get overhead.
Callers who have the app on their phones can quickly give their 3-word location to 911. But even without the app, dispatchers can still zero in on a call.
Even if you're offline with no data, you can still get the 3 words for where you are. If you don't have the app on their phone, they do have a way to send you an SMS, which will take you to a web page where you can get to the 3 words.
3 words that take the search out of search and rescue. Dina Demetrius, CBS News, Los Angeles.
What 3 words is also used in a few smaller emergency agencies in the U.S. and more widely in other countries in more than 30 languages. A Texas restaurant has found a solution for its labor shortage. The owner of La Dooney in Dallas says he has a third of the staff he did pre-pandemic. While he's trying to hire new people, no one is interested in working, so he turned to robots for help. The restaurant has 3 robots that work as hosts and as runners. They take guests to their tables, bring out orders, and even sing happy birthday. That's pretty awesome. Experts say the labor shortage in service jobs is from low wages and the spreading Delta variant. That's it for Consumer Watch. We'll be right back.
DVD, digital, and music releases this week include a superhero epic, a dramedy, legendary rockers, and much more. It's Ashley Dvorkin with our list of new releases.
I need warriors.
Topping the list of what's new in home entertainment, Zack Snyder's Justice League follows Ben Affleck's Batman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, joining forces to recruit a team of metahumans to save the world from an approaching threat.
Cheers. Cheers.
Ed Helms and Patty Harrison star in the dramedy Together. It follows a single man in his 40s who develops an unlikely relationship with the woman he selects as the surrogate to carry his child.
Why even helping us? No one helped me when I needed it most.
A down-on-his-luck social worker tries to protect his client from her recently paroled husband in the crime thriller The Gateway.
I'm a tomb.
The 1988 live-action animated classic Who Framed Roger Rabbit is available on 4K Ultra HD disc for the first time.
I don't need a babysitter.
From the small screen, the 4th season of the comedy series Young Sheldon, as well as the 4th season of the military drama SEAL Team starring David Boreanaz. For music fans, country star Casey Musgraves releases her 4th album, Starcross. And Metallica celebrates the 30th anniversary of the Black Album with a special reissue, as well as the companion star-studded covers album, The Metallica Blacklist.
And nothing else matters.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Most amazing shows I've ever seen. Metallica, Kemper Arena, Kansas City. Unreal. I'm with you, Marcus. Live look outside Television City is absolutely a gorgeous Wednesday morning, and there we are over 7th and Rangeline. We actually won't have sunrise for another 35 minutes, but it's shaping up to be a delightful morning with a cold front that's now moved through. And that means our temperature's actually a little bit below normal by the time we get to the afternoon. 62 degrees is where we stand in Joplin, so there's our 3-degree drop since the beginning of the show. And we're seeing Oswego, Pittsburgh, and Lamar right there. Just about to drop into the 50s like Iola, Fort Scott, and Nevada already have. And we're still clinging to the upper 60s, if not close to 70, along and south of I-44. Now, the big difference overnight was after the thunderstorm activity rolled through, majority of the rain fell right along the Kansas-Missouri state line, and then the wind shifted, coming in from the north right now. And what that's doing is creating anywhere from about 3 to 7 degree drop compared to what we had Tuesday morning. Of course, like I said, you work down to the south. It's actually even a little bit warmer. Still have that flood warning for the Osage right there in Vernon County. That's a little Osage, excuse me. That's the gauge near Horton. Waters will begin to recede here and be done with that by the time we get to Friday. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we are clean, clear, and crisp, if anything. Now, we get back-to-back days of temperatures in the 80s staying on the dry side. Friday, here comes a heat wave. We got a scorcher on Saturday all the way up to 96. Be back with Healthwatch next.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, COVID-19 does not appear to affect the lung function of young people. Researchers in Sweden looked at a group of patients with an average age of 22. They found no statistically significant difference between the lung function of those who had the virus and those who had not had it, but say more research is needed on asthma sufferers. Well, across the country, schools are coming back from the holiday weekend with more mitigation efforts in place as the Delta variant hits young people hard. Jonathan Suri has more from Atlanta.
Labor Day is over, and that means most schools are reopening for the fall as the new COVID surge intensifies. Younger Americans are now becoming infected at a much higher rate, making up more than 22% of all new cases, more than 160,000 in just the past month. And as officials work to stop the spread, mask mandates are becoming more common, even in states where they've been banned, with some doctors urging vaccine mandates for schools as well.
The number one thing we can do to help kids is for adults to get vaccinated and for kids who are 12 years and older to get vaccinated.
This new surge driven largely by the Delta variant. A new CDC study shows Delta accounts for 99% of all current COVID infections, and it's causing a significant rise in hospitalizations, with more than 12,000 people admitted every day in the U.S. Things are so bad in Idaho, public health officials activated, quote, crisis standards of care on Tuesday, warning folks they might not be able to get the care they need.
People have to either get better enough to go home, or if they succumb to their illnesses and die, that opens up a bed.
Meanwhile, health officials and the public are hoping vaccine boosters will help contain the outbreak, with FDA approval of Pfizer's third shot expected by the end of September.
I'll be the first in line, honestly.
We think about it quite a bit, but there's only so much we can do.
And the White House says President Biden has a 6-point plan to stop the Delta variant. He's scheduled a nationwide address on Thursday. In Atlanta, Jonathan Sering, Fox News.
Well, flu season is approaching, and as COVID-19 cases increase in the region, experts worry about a flu season compounded with the COVID pandemic. Mercy's infectious disease preventionist Donna Stokes recommends people get vaccinated against the flu and says it is safe to get your flu shot with the COVID-19 vaccine.
Continue to be vigilant. I'm still an advocate of vaccine, not only influenza vaccine, but the COVID vaccine. The distancing. The masking, especially when you're with individuals, maybe not from your household.
Flu numbers dropped last year. Some experts believe that was due to an increase in masking. In other health news, hundreds of medical journals have published a united call for action on climate change. The editorial points to established links between the climate crisis and a wide range of adverse health effects over the past 20 years. It warns the science is unequivocal. A global increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average and the continued loss of biodiversity risk catastrophic harm to health that will be impossible to reverse. High-fat diets may be the underlying cause of obesity. A study in the Journal of Physiology found feeding rats a high-fat diet led to disturbances in the part of the brain that controls the feeling of being full, leading to overeating. I don't know, that kind of sounds like common sense. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Temperatures slipping this morning as a cold front begins to finally settle over the 4 states. It's already made its way through our northern cities. And now we're seeing the central and southern portions of the 4 states take a couple degree dip as well. But a delightful afternoon. Sunny skies, temps up into the low to mid 80s.
Coming up, a former Nyosho schoolteacher resigns after he says he was discriminated against for having a pride flag in the classroom. And we look at the local impact of an at-home COVID-19 test shortage. Also, a 4-state health expert talks about what the upcoming flu season could have in store for us.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News at 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Our cooler temps are here, but for how long? Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast.
Won't be too bad. I think we'll roll 2 straight days of it before the heat finally returns. And I'll tell you what, cool temps as the front is actually lowering our temperatures even as we're approaching sunrise. Here's a live look over 7th and Range Line and the old Skywatch storm tracker and daily almanac showing our average high would be 85. We'll actually get a touch below that as we sit at 62 degrees right now in Joplin. Look at that bottom column, the old pressure on the rise. That means a whole bunch of blue sky and sunshine today. We're now down to 58 in Fort Scott and Nevada. Pittsburgh slipping to 59 as well. And compare that, 10-degree difference still hanging on south of I-44. And of course, the big difference was after last night's thunderstorm activity, the winds did a complete shift, now moving in from the north. Just 5 to 10 miles an hour early this morning, but eventually gusting up to 20 miles per hour, and that's what's providing us with 7-8 degree change in some places. Have the flood warning for the Little Osage River still in effect, but the Skywatch storm tracker is going to treat us right. Look at this, all the cloud cover all the way down to the south. You got to drop down to the Red River to even find out where those thunderstorms ended up. But look at our 7-day forecast today. Wednesday and Thursday going to maintain their mid-80s feel with a whole bunch of sunshine. Now Friday, wind shifts back. Everything's going to come in from the south. The Gulf moisture returns, 90s for the weekend. So no complaints here on Wednesday and Thursday.
So we can blame the south for the heat coming back.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming back. Don't look at it. We'll tackle it on Friday. How about that?
We're going to live in the moment.
You should come up with a phrase. You should hashtag that. I'd go like YOLO. I don't know. That's just me.
It's hump day. There you go. It's Wednesday. All right, thanks, Michael. The KU student body president is facing outrage from some after retweeting a comment that many consider anti-American. Anna Ald looked into it to try to clarify what the student meant by the tweet.
KU student body president Naya Mikadu getting lots of feedback from a statement she retweeted reading, "Happy Friday, everybody. Death to America," with a grinning emoji, making many upset and wanting clarification on what she meant by the post. One student replied to her post saying, "As a military-affiliated student, I cannot stop thinking about this. We are only days out from the recent military deaths in Afghanistan and days away from 9/11, which impacted my family in ways very few understand," saying it was uncalled for. The president then explained, saying, "This is death to America that was built on indigenous genocide and the blacks of black slaves. If you're worried about the people in the service of the military, be mad at your government because my words shouldn't make you this mad." Later tweeting, "I have free speech like anyone else, and I'm not going to apologize for advocating for the death of a country built on racism." We reached out to Mikadu to explain further, and she would not do an interview or take any questions.
Well then, the KU communications director was not aware of the tweet and said they would look into the situation. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Neosho school district after being asked to sign a letter promising to not talk about his sexuality. John Wallace, a teacher at Nyosho Junior High, started the school year with 2 items above his whiteboard: a pride flag and a sign reading, "In this classroom, everyone is welcome." After receiving complaints from parents, he says he was instructed to take both items out of his classroom or face being fired.
It was on the bookshelf as a representation for the students who may be closeted, they're not out, or maybe they are out, but they don't know where to go for support. And that was what my classroom was. It was a support system for those students specifically, as well as all students, because that's what the message was above my whiteboard.
We reached out to the Neosho superintendent's office and received a statement saying that due to this being a personnel matter, there's a limited amount of information that the school district is allowed to release, but that Wallace submitted his resignation September 1st. Flu season is approaching, and as COVID-19 cases increase in the region, experts worry about a flu season compounded with the COVID pandemic. Mercy's infectious disease preventionist Donna Stokes recommends people get vaccinated against the flu and says it is safe to get the flu shot with the COVID-19 vaccine.
I'm still an advocate of vaccine, not only influenza vaccine, but the COVID vaccine. The distancing, the masking, especially when you're with individuals, maybe not from your household.
Flu numbers dropped last year. Some experts believe that was due to an increase in masking. At-home testing kits for COVID-19 could be harder to find on store shelves. The kits had been fairly widely available since the spring, but now with the Delta variant surge, stores are selling out. In an article by the Wall Street Journal, Abbott Laboratories, the maker of the popular Binix Now testing kit, says they expect supply to be slim over the next few weeks. Here in the 4 states, availability of a testing kit varies from place to place. Stone's Corner Pharmacy has been carrying them for a few months, but they do not currently have any in stock.
Had them up until last week even, but right now they doesn't appear to be available. Even searched online for some different places that we wouldn't typically use, and we weren't able to source them right now.
Crawford County Health Department Director says if you do plan to take an at-home test, it's important that you follow up with a healthcare provider or your local health department, especially if you get a positive test result. The Webb City Farmers Market has new leadership. Eileen Nichols, the market manager and founder, resigned back in February, and now Rachel Lynch has taken over and hopes to continue making the market a popular place.
After 20 dedicated years, we're excited to see her get to spend more time with her family and get to dedicate her time to, to her family's next generation. She gets to be with her grandkids a lot right now.
Lynch says she would like to eventually expand the market further as more vendors express interest. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. The president puts the spotlight on climate change while touring damage left in Ida's wake. Plus, a Neosho County resident just turned in a Kansas lottery ticket worth $250,000. What would you do if you won the lottery? We let you weigh in, but first, it's 6:37.
Going up 58 in Fort Scott and Nevada. We've got 62 in Joplin and still holding on to high 60s in Miami, Anderson, and Cassville. Get the sun a little bit here. It'll officially rise over Joplin at 6:55, and we'll be in the low to mid 80s. An absolutely delightful Wednesday, and we're going to be able to repeat on Thursday. But remember, the heat wave is a-coming, so take advantage and get out in that garden here for the next 2 days, because it's going to be a little bit sweltering over the weekend. We'll be back with Nation Watch right after this.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the remnants of Hurricane Ida are now responsible for more than 50 deaths in the Northeast. Yesterday, while visiting areas in New Jersey and New York that were hit by the storm, President Biden said climate change is everyone's crisis that needs to be dealt with now. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
President Biden is sounding the alarm on climate change.
We got to listen to the scientists and the economists and the national security experts. They all tell us this is code red. The nation and the world are in peril.
After touring storm-ravaged neighborhoods in New Jersey and New York City yesterday, the president urged Congress to pass his infrastructure package to protect against future storms like Ida.
Climate change poses an existential threat to our lives, to our economy, and the threat is here. It's not going to get any better.
Residents in Manville, New Jersey showed President Biden the destruction.
Our daughter's nursery is on the second floor.
And it's over there in another corner.
Megan Domar, her husband, and their 4-month-old evacuated during the storm. When they came back, they found their entire house destroyed by a fire.
We lost everything that was valuable to us. We literally lost everything.
Progressive and moderate Democrats will need to join together if they want to pass more than $4 trillion in legislation that includes spending on infrastructure and combating climate change. But some, like West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, are concerned with the price tag and the speed it's moving through Congress.
Hit the pause button. Let's sit back. Let's see what happens.
Democratic leaders hope to have 2 infrastructure spending bills passed by the end of this month. Ian Lee, CBS News.
On his way back to the White House yesterday, President Biden told reporters he believes he can work something out with Senator Manchin. The 2 bills include a $1 trillion bipartisan spending plan focused on physical infrastructure and a second broader $3.5 trillion package that would encompass Democrats' plans for education, health care, child and elder care, and the environment. Well, those driving home after the holiday weekend likely saw some pain at the pump. Hurricane Ida helped push the national average for a gallon of gas to $3.19. Californians are paying $4.40, the highest Labor Day gas price ever. As soon as gas demand declines, which typically happens at the end of the summer travel season, prices are expected to drop. Toyota says it will invest $13.5 billion in developing batteries for electric vehicles. The automaker is looking to adjust the materials used, hoping to slash the cost of batteries by at least 30% by the year 2030. Toyota also pledges to improve power consumption in its electric vehicles. And American Airlines is ending its pandemic benefits for unvaccinated employees. Starting next month, if an unvaccinated employee misses work because of a COVID-19 infection, they will have to use their own sick days. For now, American Airlines is not mandating employees be vaccinated, but is strongly encouraging it. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. We got a lottery winner on our hands, and we made that the subject of our Something to Talk About on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Coming out of Neosho County, Kansas, how about a $250,000 individual is remaining anonymous, collected the $250,000 as the top prize on Kansas Lottery's $30 multiplier super ticket game. Winning ticket was sold at Pete's 24. Find out on North Santa Fe Street in Chanute if you're trying to replicate the process. Now, here's my favorite part of the story. The unnamed winner first thought it was a $25,000 winning ticket. Nobody's going to scoff at that. 25 grand? Then they realized it was 10 times as much as that. $250,000. Now, as far as we know, did not tell anyone about the ticket before driving to Topeka to claim the prize. Our question for you this morning, what's the first thing you would do if you won the lottery? And it's been consistent all morning long, as 63% of you say, I'm going to pay off my debt. Coming in second, we got 18% saying put it in the bank. 15% say, you know what, with $250,000, I think I can splurge a little bit. Only 4% say, I just don't think I'd show up for work the next day. You can make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote and, of course, connect to us through our Facebook page as well. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Purple Heart recipient Charles Barger in the U.S. Army. The Stotts City native joined the L Company 354th Infantry 89th Division fighting in France during World War II. Private Barger earned a number of honors, among them the Bronze Star, the Lifesavers Medal, and the Distinguished Service Cross. To Private First Class Charles Barger, we thank you, our four-state hero.
Ava Easley is going to begin our list of birthdays today, and that is her dog, Gunnison. A beautiful dress for Miss Ava is celebrating her 9th birthday. And Ava, I want you to know that these wishes come with love from Mom, Dad, Gigi, and Papa. You can find both Ava and Gunnison in Joplin.
All right. And next up we have Caroline Bush. Pretty in her little dress
What up,
there.
Caroline?
10 years old for Caroline in Pittsburgh.
Cooper's Highs is turning 13. Coop, welcome to the teenage years, my friend. A happy birthday to you in Columbus.
In Chanute, Kansas, Macy Clouch celebrating birthday number 17 this year.
Run out to Thayer for Tanya Woolery's 48th birthday. Miss Tanya, a very happy birthday to you.
All right, our neighbor in Crestline, Miss Sue Moore, happy birthday.
And a 50th anniversary for Ron and Jan Daniels. Marvelous picture right there. Ron, I love that shirt. That is awesome. Congratulations to Ron and Jan as they celebrate half a century in Altoona.
Yep, who's celebrating? This guy.
That is great.
All right, and we've got how is she already 15?
I don't know. I couldn't believe it when I looked at the list. I'm like, Zoe's 15?
Zoe Elmore
What?
In Columbus, 15 years old. And this is why this is so amazing. Okay, so come this October will be my 16th anniversary here. So I remember when Zoe was born.
I was gonna say, I remember when she was born.
I remember when she was born. She is the granddaughter of one of our KOAM moms, our business manager, Rhonda Zook. Wow.
Happy birthday, Zoe.
Happy
Have a great
birthday,
day,
Zoe.
kiddo. I shouldn't call you kiddo anymore. I should call you young woman now. Happy birthday, kid. Krista Pierce, she is turning 50, and so Krista, we said we're gonna give you a screen all to yourself. A very happy birthday to Krista in Miami. Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all on this September the 8th. Here's where you can send your pictures and info to birthdays@koamtv.com. You can also find us on the interweb at koamnewsnow.com. Here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
Yeah, while you're on the interweb, Make sure you check out the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to the interweb and sign up, and then you get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Hey, from official sunrise over Joplin on this Wednesday morning. There's a gorgeous shot showing you not a cloud in the sky. Our temperatures have been dropping as the cold front on the backside of overnight thunderstorm activity has really yet to settle all the way through on the south side of I-44. But look at this, 58 in Fort Scott, Nevada, and now Pittsburgh joining the 58 club as well. Compare that to the 68s that we're still holding on to in Miami, Anderson, and Cassville. So even after sunrise, we'll still see the southern counties have a little drop. North wind, the complete shift, but just 5 to 10 miles per hour right now. Subject to change for the afternoon. That's when it will pick up and we'll actually have about 20 mile per hour gusts. And the north winds also why we have resulting temperatures about 5 to 7 degrees cooler than what we experienced on Tuesday morning. Flood warning in effect for the Little Osage. Going to run that thing till Friday morning now, so we did have to extend that just a small period of time. But the Skywatch storm tracker remaining clear. This is where we picked up the majority of our rain, right along the Kansas-Missouri state line, mainly through southeast Kansas. In Bourbon and Crawford counties is where we saw the most, and reports of hail, not only coming out of Crawford County, but also Montgomery County last night. So we get a break from the severe thunderstorm risk map on today's list, as the Skywatch storm tracker gives you an idea exactly where that cold front has penetrated and making its way, I'd say by mid-morning into Oklahoma and Arkansas. Just hasn't completed that entire shift as of yet. Very nice temperatures for this time of year on both Wednesday and Thursday with a whole lot of sunshine. And Friday, here comes the heat again. We'll be into the 90s for the weekend. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this. Instapoll question this morning. What would you do if you won the lottery, such as the anonymous person up in Neosho County, Kansas did, pocketing some $250,000? Right now, 62% of you say, yep, we're just going to get rid of debt, start from scratch first. 20% of you say after you get back from Topeka, you're headed to the bank. 13%, do a little something for ourselves. I found this curious, though. The very last one, only 5% saying, wouldn't you show up for work the next morning? Appreciate all the engagement. Take part each and every morning by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Michael. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Joplin City Council votes in favor of an emergency ordinance for a contract between the city and a cybersecurity firm based in Kansas City. In July, the city of Joplin was the victim of a cyber attack. The city manager directed city staff to get bids from various companies to strengthen the city's cybersecurity position. Among the 11 bidders, RavenEye LLC of Kansas City had the winning bid. RavenEye will be responsible for co-managing network security for the city and upgrading current network security systems. Missouri Highway Patrol releases some statistics from the Labor Day weekend. Authorities say there were 351 vehicle accidents over the holiday weekend, with 103 injuries and 7 fatalities. When it comes to people on the water, there were 7 reported boating accidents, with 4 injuries and 1 death. There were no reported drownings over the weekend. An openly gay teacher resigns from the Nyosho school district after being asked to sign a letter promising not to talk about his sexuality. John Wallace, a teacher at Nyosho Junior High, started the school year with 2 items above his whiteboard, a pride flag and a sign reading, "In this classroom, everyone is welcome." After receiving complaints from the parents, he says he was instructed to take both items out of his classroom or face being fired. Joplin's Arvest Bank is honoring teachers through its We Love Teachers campaign, and it's looking for nominees. The campaign awards 154 teachers with $500 gifts. It's a total of $77,000 in prize money. That money is spent on classroom needs for public school teachers. To nominate a teacher, just go to the Arvest Bank Facebook page and look for the We Love Teachers post between September 13th and the 19th. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Tell you what we're going to see, Tanya, here in about the next half hour or so. Up here, we're pretty much, we've stabilized up to the north. Now, the cold front is going to continue to push down. When I say cold front, we're not talking about a winter cold front. We drop 20 degrees in the span of, an hour or something like that. But don't be surprised, Miami, we're already seeing it in Neosho and Monette. Don't be surprised there, Miami, Anderson, Cassville, if even after sunrise. Temperatures don't drop down to about mid-60s before we even out. No, we'll be into the low to mid-80s today. It'll be absolutely fine. Remember, heat wave are coming. They'll kick in on Friday.
Coming up today at noon, we're making a chicken ranch casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Of course, your morning news continues on KOAM. Got that brand new looking CBS morning news coming up next.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues.
And this morning, eye contact, an important part of communicating. But what happens when people make eye contact with robots? New study shows how human and computers may be more lot alike than what we thought. They're coming for our jobs. Get out, enjoy some fresh air. Do me a favor, be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.